Today I'm going to talk about an unfortunately very common and very painful topic, and this is abuse. Why you were abused, and I'm going to talk about it in a very confrontational way. This is something that I had to work through myself as well, and I'm still working it through. And look, if you have been abused recently, I highly encourage you not to watch this video. This video is not for you, because you have to understand that abuse has several levels. So first of all, somebody can be abused in a way that they are not even aware of it, and that's kind of the unaware stage. That's like stage 0, that the person doesn't think it's wrong. And then we get to stage 2 when the person is aware that, oh my God, I have been abused, I am pissed, I am very angry, and I'm looking for signs if I'm right or wrong. And this is when you become very emotional. You get from an unconscious stage or unaware stage into this subconscious stage when you are very emotional, very hurt. And this is when you need validation. So this video is not good for you, because it's going to be one level above. You need to watch videos if you have been hurt recently, where they validate how you felt and the other person is a fucking piece of shit. And when you are kind of healed, that's when you can watch this video, because this video is going to connect more to your head, and it's going to be confrontation, because you have to be confronted, and confrontation means that show it to you why you did it, and show your own blind spots as well. It kind of breaks you that maybe I'm even wrong, and it shatters you into pieces, and you are just like, oh my God, I really don't like listening to this shit. This is this type of video, because only after that, when you are shattered into pieces, you can get to the third stage. That's the final stage, and this is going to be integration. So whatever you had, all of these beliefs, it's breaking apart. It makes you question yourself, and now you can rearrange them, put them into a much healthier order. So if you are looking for this video is going to be very helpful for you. So the main reason why you were abused is going to be very painful. And the reason is because you have allowed it to happen. But it has many reasons why you have allowed it. The very first one is going to be probably the most common one, that you came from a family, or maybe from a society where abuse was very common, where they believe that disciplining children equals child abuse, and you just got used to it. And just because you have seen it over and over, and maybe your friends experience the same thing, you believe this is the norm, because you couldn't compare it with other parenting styles. So just imagine if you had different types of parents. You had this abusive nutheads who had no idea how to deal with children, and you had someone who had knowledge about how to mentor a child and how to deal with children in an emotionally mature way. You could have compared it, but because you didn't have this ability to compare, because you only had one type of parenting, you accepted it because you had no other choice but accepting child abuse as a normal behavior. And when you do that, the problem is that you don't question that this is wrong. Maybe some of you do, and you are more likely to allow other people later on to abuse you as well, because you have already accepted it as some kind of a behavior that can happen. So for example, your parents didn't allow you to become independent. What it means is they just opened the door anytime, even when you were a teenager, on your door, and just going through your things. So basically no boundaries, and just reading your notes because they are your parents and they must protect you. Then it's very likely that if you have the same type of husband or wife, you believe that this is acceptable. Or in a more severe case, maybe your parents were beating you, you were punished. So when you get into a relationship with someone who also beats you, you are going to most likely to make this inner statement. Maybe it's not with words, not conscious, but somewhere it's going to be down there in you that I deserved it. Because if I didn't behave this way, I wouldn't have been punished. So you really see things as cause and effect. It's like karma. You don't see that what is realistic and how else it could have been managed. And that is the problem. That's why you allow the abuse, because you haven't seen other ways of dealing in conflict. And the only way to overcome that as of now you actually start doing that how other ways, or in what ways you can actually deal in very, very difficult situations, and how emotionally mature people behave, how they communicate, and what they do in a relationship, and how they generally are. The second huge issue is that many times the society or the culture you live in is actually abusive, or maybe they have abusive elements due to something. So for example, in many societies, especially in traditional societies, beating the wife at home is acceptable because the wife has to be tamed. And in some really, really, really fucked up societies, murdering your own wife or murdering your own daughter is completely acceptable in that culture due to honor. And these are the honor killings. So you really, really have to think about your own culture if it has any type of a discrimination towards you in any way. Or it can be in other way as well, that whatever you see is completely disregarded because the other person is just older than you, and you should respect the older person. So this type of abuse is coming from an authoritarian version, that there are these different ranks and things in society without any reason. It's just they say that person is more valuable because of whatever rule, but there is no concrete reason for it. It's not because the person is smarter or proved something. It's just whatever they were born with. And this is coming from the rigid mindset. There is a book, The Rigid versus the Growth Mindset, and it's talking about how it is kind of backward societies and people see things that whatever you were born with, that is going to determine kind of your life, and kind of you are stuck in that little cube. And the third one is going to be similar to this traditional thing, that maybe you see abuse as strength, that the person is really strong and you need to be controlled, you need to be tamed. By the way, this was mine when I was married, that I made this internal talk that maybe I need someone who can control me, because otherwise I would go out of control. And the people who would think that, yeah, you should have stayed. My husband, who is my ex-husband, thank God I divorced him, turned out to be a psychopath. I'm not saying that this is my belief. he was actually diagnosed. Another common thing is that this is something we got from movies and from religion, that everyone has good and bad, and we should accept the bad and really focus on the good. And it doesn't matter how monstrous a person is, because deep down, everyone is good. There is no evil. Yeah. You should marry my fucking ex-husband and try to divorce him. Yeah. So what I can tell you is that this idealized, unrealistic, naive way of seeing things can really, really take people to the wrong way. And these are coming from society. So this is something we have learned. And the thing with good or bad, of course, everyone has good or bad, but you have to really you have to distinguish that sometimes that bad is straight away. It's a strike, that it's the end of relationship. It's like when I don't know this country, but in Hungary, when you do your driving license, there are 3 types of mistakes. There is one mistake that is worth 1 strike, and you can get 10 strikes, and that's when you fail the exam. So there is one type of mistake that is worth 1 strike. Then there is another type of mistake that is worth 3 strikes straight away. And there is one type of mistake that is straight away you failed the exam. And this is exactly how we should see mistakes, because many times people say, oh, it's a mistake. It's like, yeah, I had an affair, I made a mistake, sorry. And they expect that it's kind of equal with, oh, I forgot to buy the bread you asked me, I'm really sorry. That's not the same. So this is what you have to really look for in good and bad, that to put certain levels into it, because certain things are completely unacceptable in a relationship and in a person in order to make it work. And by the way, this is something we should have studied at school instead of fucking sinus cosinus that I still haven't used. Where I am going to use this shit that I was graded for? Please someone tell me, why did I study it? Thank you. And yes, I am upset. I feel abused by the school system. And I think we all agree. We were forced into anxiety and stress and learning all the crap we never used, for God's sake. And the last one, when we talk about abuse, this is going to be something very, very difficult. I would say the most difficult. That deep down, you allowed the abuse to happen because you had something to gain in it. And that is going to be, again, the most difficult to see what that was. Because many times people feel that they are abused, but they don't really see that very, very deep thing that they allowed the abuse to happen or the discomfort because they didn't see a better option. So they agreed deep down that even being abused in a relationship or in a job was a better option than the other option they could have come up with. Because if they had consciously that option B, they would have moved away from option A. So what to do about it? How to heal? How to stop abuse happening in the future? Because in reality, you can stop an abuse when you are aware of what is even an abuse, and you reinforce that I do not allow you to do that no matter what, and you keep reinforcing this. So basically, you're filtering everyone and everything out that tries to abuse you, and this is how you basically do this. But in order to do that, you have to really be honest with yourself. What are your weaknesses? What are your trigger points? Because maybe under certain circumstances, you would allow the abuse. So for example, this is going to be a work related, that you, for example, complain that I do so many long hours and I work on the weekends and I'm not even paid for those hours. ask the question, why do you allow to do that? And be really honest with yourself. And also, for how long? Because many times what people will say is that that they couldn't get a better paying job, or again, they don't have a better option, and that's why they allow the abuse. And in order to overcome the abuse, you have to find a different way to earn the same amount of money, a different job. You don't have plan B, unfortunately. Basically, you teach yourself not to depend on the abuser, because it kind of goes back to our childhood that we have to put up with abuse because we depend too much on the parental figure. We don't have a plan B. We have to put up with it. And then your other option is that you take a piece of paper and you write down what you allow and what you don't allow in your workplace, in a relationship, with friends, etc., etc. And you really, really reinforce it over and over and over and over, no matter what. And in reality, sometimes there is no plan B, like especially when it comes to work, or maybe for a short period of time, you have to suck it up. This is something that I have to deal with sometimes as well, that, okay, but what you can do is, this is what I do, that, okay, I know that there is a limit to it. So you can't put the boundary straight away because maybe you cannot transition straight away. So what you do is you come up with a plan that, okay, this is how I'm going to get out of it. And I'm creating a plan how to do. So there is like a time limit to it, or some kind of a strategy that it's not going to be a forever going thing. You already know that you are bursting out of this cage where you are tortured and tormented, and this is going to give you this inner strength to get through the difficult time. I hope this video was helpful for you, and see you in my next video.